Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Real Heroes Show. You got Cory and Nick with you as always. And in today's video, we are talking spoiler heavy on episode 5 of Star Wars The Bad Batch entitled Rampage. And in this episode, we had a whole lot of stuff. We had some cameos from Star Wars past. We had a Trandoshan informant. We had cat people, droids, all sorts of fun stuff. So, Nick, how are you today, buddy?
Doing well. It's Friday.
Yeah, man. Long weekend.
3-day weekend. I know.
Are you checking out any movies or anything this weekend? I know that Cruella and Quiet Place Part 2 are dropping.
Quiet Place 2, I'm interested in seeing. I enjoyed the first one. Yeah, I checked the theater seating last night. Wide open for
really?
Okay. A noon matinee. Wide open. So,
hey,
I guess it's going to be okay to sit wherever I want.
I don't even know how they're doing it right now. Like, if you reserve a seat, if they block out the seats to the left and right of you, that's what they're doing? Okay.
I think when I tried to do it, if you pick like two, it's going to skip one, and then you can have another one like in between seats.
Okay, well, I guess that works. But
yeah,
I think it'll be a big weekend for the box office. I think they said Quiet Place did $5 million in Thursday night revenue, which is...
yeah, I'm curious.
Pretty damn good. Most movies that have come out during this pandemic haven't made $5 million in their entire theatrical run. So
nope.
For that to do in one night is pretty solid. But let's dive into this Star Wars episode. So Bad Batch, they're officially mercenaries now. They're no longer soldiers. And Nick, I'm gonna defer to you. What were your thoughts on this episode? Are we back on the rails story wise, or did you think this was another filler-ish type episode?
I think it was a conglomeration of both. You know, I think between still hitting on the points of the Bad Batch, and as they progress through who they are, why they're being hunted, who they're being hunted by. They've gone from soldiers to the Bad Batch to mercenaries now, so their persona is also evolving and changing. But they're kind of having this new way of life, right? Yeah. From being on missions and then being a squad and being soldiers to being on the run and just having to get by and being in hiding and to try and not get too noticed. So it's I'd say it's a bit of both, right? Like the whole cat people thing. Did it really move the plot? Not so much to me, really. But like. It was still somewhat entertaining because we got to see Wrecker fight a baby Rancor. So
yeah, and so I mean, let's just dive right into that because that's obviously the thing that everybody's going to talk about on the internet.
Right?
Is this the Rancor from Return of the Jedi? Because we see Bib Fortuna come pick it up, and we know that Bib is Jabba the Hutt's major domo over on Tatooine. I think there might be some like expanded universe lore or whatever that suggests that it isn't, but they've ignored book stuff like the Ahsoka book and the Kanan comic. They've adjusted those to accommodate the animated series before. So
right.
Do you see like this episode's kind of funny if you think about it that way? Like if that is the Rancor, you're like, oh, that little baby, it's gonna die in a couple of years because Luke Skywalker's gonna kill it.
Yeah, I thought about it, and I mean, I'm not really too sure about the aging and the growth for Rancors.
Right.
I mean, they can get fairly large, especially if anyone's played the Force Unleashed games. You fight a very, very monstrous Rancor. In I think the second one, if I remember correctly.
I think it's the second one.
But I thought about it because obviously Jabba's name dropped, right? So. And Bib being there, I'm like, the thought dawned on me, and it would make a little sense for it to kind of piece together, but yeah, who knows?
Yeah, the other thing I thought of is, what if that's a different Rancor, and then it shows up in the Book of Boba Fett series? Because Bib Fortuna, he's in that credit stinger at the end of Mando season 2. Boba shoots him and kills him and rip and Fennec is also part of this story and that story, so like there could be some connected threads between the Bad Batch and Book of Boba, and if they need a new Rancor because the one that was there is dead.
And Luke
so.
Luke killed the last one. So
Right.
maybe Boba just wants a Rancor because it fits in Jabba's palace, or Boba's palace as it might be called soon. So yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Again, just to sort of tie in the animated show from Dave Filoni to the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, I think some of the other things that were cool in this episode too. They went to Ord Mantell, which is if you're an EU person,
it's a good name drop.
Empire, Black Sun Crime Syndicate. There's a whole bunch of stuff that goes on Ord Mantell. The Zygerians also is a Clone Wars throwback. They almost enslaved Anakin and Obi-Wan in an episode of the Clone Wars. So they're no joke. And they have these cool little weapons, and it looks like Omega has picked one up, which we saw her using one of those in the trailer,
right?
And she didn't use it in this episode. She only just got it. So we know that she's going to stick around with that, which is pretty cool. What are your thoughts on? So this is 3 episodes in a row now that Wrecker has been complaining about his head.
Again, I think when we first saw it happen, I was wondering if that's his, like, the chip inside that triggered crosshair. And I wonder if it's starting to take effect on Wrecker. And again, I feel like if there's going to be a sad episode, is it him turning, and does he die? And if so, who's going to be forced to kill him, or put him down, right? Because at this point, there's no way to reverse it unless you remove
the chip. Yeah.
So do they have the access to that technology? Well,
I don't know.
Not on the run, they don't.
I think at this point, in like chronological terms, the only person we've seen have their chip removed is Rex,
right,
in Clone Wars, and Ahsoka does it. So I don't know if the Bad Batch. I'm sure Tech could figure it out, but I'm not sure if they've figured out a way to do it quite yet. But the relationship they've been building between Wrecker and Omega. So last episode, he scooped her up in the tunnel, and they had like a hug or whatever. And then in this episode, they had like that cute little high five when Sid said that she knew who the brains of the operation was. And it seems like, aside from the relationship with Hunter, Omega is closest with Wrecker.
Right.
And if Wrecker's chip goes off and he turns, that's going to be real bad.
Yeah, I kind of wonder in what fashion it would take place, right? Like in the heat of a battle or a fight,
right?
And again, because Omega's just a kid, and she probably wouldn't really know what's going on at the moment, and wondering why Wrecker's trying to kill or capture her,
right?
Along with the rest of the crew. I don't know if Omega has it in her to put him down, right? Because she's got this bond with him.
Yep.
Again, I don't know if Echo or Tech or Hunter would put him down. I know it'd be tough.
It would be tough.
So
they couldn't do it to Crosshair in the first episode,
right?
So who knows, man? It's tough. And like for Omega, this is the closest thing to a family she's ever had.
Yep.
I don't think she'd have it in her to do what needs to be done, Lord Vader.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's getting interesting. I feel like this show has been less of an action type series. Like the way Clone Wars, it was like every episode was like, how can we fit as much action into this as possible?
Right.
This one has been almost more character driven, and then they're like, okay, well, we have to hit a quota on action, so there's going to be a Rancor fight. Which the Rancor fight was hilarious because they basically just fought each other until they were too tired.
Yeah, just it's like at the end of like the Rocky film. Yeah, when they're so tired, and it's just Rocky being able to throw punches.
Yep.
And they're swinging and missing, and then the Rancor falls, and then Wrecker's like,
all right, I win.
go to sleep. Go to sleep.
It's like Tony Stark with the Hulkbuster in Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep.
Yeah.
They learned from their mistakes last week. They put a tracker and a comm device on Omega, and they treated it like, oh, it's your new comm device, and she's like, oh, this is so cool, I'll talk on it, but it's really just like a baby monitor.
Pretty much. I mean,
to make sure they can locate her and talk to her if they need to. But the Bad Batch are smart. They're more than your average clones, I think, when it comes to that sort of thing. So pretty cool stuff there. They mention the guild, which is the bounty hunter guild, which obviously big part of Mandalorian, which is where Fennec comes from. So it'll be interesting. I don't know what Grief Karga is doing at this point in the Star Wars canon. So we could possibly get a Carl Weathers cameo somewhere down the road in this show, which is pretty cool. What do you think about the fact that I think it's like 3 episodes now that we haven't seen Crosshair? Are you ready to get back into him in the Empire a little bit?
Yeah, I think we may see that in the next episode.
Okay.
Because we're 6 deep now, so
I think this one was 5.
5? Yeah,
but it feels like 6 because the first one was like 2 smashed into one.
That's what I was thinking, like a double episode. So we're not at the halfway mark yet.
Right.
So I think we're gonna get some more from what we've seen in the initial trailer. But I think we're going to have a little bit of a Mando season 2 effect where a lot of what we saw from the trailer was all first half of the season. The whole second half of the season is going to be things we haven't seen yet. So, which I like that format. So there aren't any spoilers. And I think prediction wise and talking about stuff like this here on YouTube, it makes it more interesting because it's all theory. Right. It's all guessing. It's all estimations. It's like trying to piece things together. So, and that's what I personally like with especially when it comes to Star Wars, right? Like trying to figure out what's going to happen next. Where's the Bad Batch going to go? What's going to happen? How does the Empire continue to build? Yep. These key characters like Crosshair, and the rest of the Bad Batch and Omega, Fennec, right? Like what's going to happen to them through this? Right. Like, I think it's obviously we know like Fennec's going to be alive and she's not going to die because we already know she lives for years on. But same thing like with Bib Fortuna, these little cameos, like they're really cool to see because it's again like the genius of Dave Filoni is picking things out from the entirety of Star Wars lore and attaching them to the original trilogy and a little bit beyond that. So
and this one's kind of a bridge series because it technically starts at the end of the prequels and it's transitioning into the time of the OT, which is pretty cool. The thing that's great is like what you just said about how Star Wars keeps you guessing and you're always trying to figure out what happens. Star Wars is not a linear concept, right? And they still figure out a way to come up with these stories that make you wonder what's going to happen next. Like, because there's so many gaps they haven't filled, and there's so many corners of this galaxy that they've built that we don't really know. We don't know what happens to the Bad Batch. We've seen tons of stuff that happens 10 years after where they're at, 30 years after where they're at.
Right.
But we have no idea. And that's part of what's still so much fun about what they're doing. And creative executive director at Lucasfilm, Dave Filoni, as the internet lost their minds over last week. Apparently a role that he's had since like the summer of last year. But Lucasfilm just didn't update the website. That's all.
Took him long enough.
But the buck stops with him now. So anything story-wise has to go through him before it gets a green light, which I think probably for the best.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's literally no one else out there in my mind or majority of people's minds that can do a better job than Dave Filoni. He is like the lore master of Star Wars. Aside from maybe George Lucas himself, but even then, I'd say based on like maybe what George Lucas hasn't done or been involved with, Dave Filoni has probably still been up to speed and still knows everything like in and out, right? So
I think he's very busy right now.
I'm sure Dave Filoni has a lot on his plate overall.
A lot going on.
So but I think because
it's great though. They have like there's like a trio of creative executive directors now. So there's Dave, who is in charge of story.
Right.
There's John Knoll, who is the visual effects guy, and then there's Doug Chang, who's the art guy. So they've got someone who creates what the world looks like. There's someone who actually makes that happen in real life, and then there's a person who shepherds the story. I think that's a nice starting place now, and I feel like that's like a little bit of restructuring to a degree, moving forward. Which obviously all the stuff we've gotten lately from Star Wars, I've been pretty damn happy with. So excited to see where it goes. But to cap this one off, this episode, Bad Batch, do you give it 1 Rancor, 10 Rancors, 5 Rancors?
You know, I'm gonna give it 7 Rancors.
7 Rancors? Okay.
7 Rancors, yeah. 7 baby Rancors.
7 baby Rancors. I'm gonna give this one
Rancors.
Oh man, it's tough. This one was probably my least favorite of the 5 so far. Just because it didn't really go anywhere. I'm kind of excited for it to pick back up and move along the plot a little bit. So I would say probably like a 6.5 for me. Although I love the show and it's so much fun, and it's okay that not every episode has to move the plot you know, by leaps and bounds, but I don't want it to fall into a pattern where it tends to just meander and not go anywhere. So I will say 6.5, and there's room to grow. I think they'll probably crescendo towards like episode 8, which will be the halfway point of the season. Do something big there, reset the table, and then do another 8 for the back half of the season. But so that's gonna wrap it up for this video. Guys, we'd love to hear from you. Drop us a comment down below and let us know what you thought of this episode of the series so far. And do you think that this is the Rancor that Luke Skywalker kills, or do you think that we're completely off base on this one? Also, if you want to help out the channel, please go ahead and like the video, subscribe if you're new, turn on those notifications so that way you never miss another video from us. And until next time, we'll see you guys in the next video.